welcome back. It's Annie back with another video, and today I have Jacob joining me.
What's up, guys?
For
Girls,
Jett.
Computerland.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Annie
I
back
like
with
that
another
last
video.
one.
Okay, we're rolling with it then. Today we are going to be filming our birth story with Jett back in 2019, at the end of 2019. So I basically wanted to record it just for memories and to have it on camera, or to have it filmed. That way we can.
Because I still haven't written it in his.
And because Jacob still
book.
hasn't written the birth story in the baby book like he was supposed to. So we're gonna just give you some details, go through the kind of the whole day and the whole process, and share as much as we can. This was December of 2019 when Jett was born. He was born the 28th of December.
The cool thing about Jett is born in late 2019. This is actually pre-USA COVID. But so all this was pre-masks. We could have family members.
We had a lot of family Christmases in the year of 2019. We had his family, my family, the grandparents, everything like that. And actually the day before I went into labor, we were playing a family game. It was Heads Up on our phone, and I don't think I've laughed that hard since then. So we went to bed that night after our family Christmas of laughing all day long, and I thought nothing of it. I slept through the night, and at 6 o'clock in the morning I woke up and could feel that I had started to have contractions, or what I assumed were contractions.
So morning of, I was asleep. It was back when we actually got to sleep. This is a long time ago. We have a 2-year-old alarm clock now. And I remember Annie waking me up saying, hey, I think this is real. We need to go to the hospital. I told her, remember from the classes that we took, that if the only thing you can think about is the cramping, the contractions, you can't talk, you can't stand up straight, like that's when you need to go in. She really wasn't to that point yet. She was kind of just moving around, just a little slow-ish. I don't know about that, but
I had already gotten up and showered, gotten my hair fixed. He was still asleep. I was like trying to make a little bit more noise, trying to wake him up, but he wasn't waking up. And so eventually I woke him up, and then he decided he needed to shave, and he needed to take a shower, and he needed to get everything ready and
first impressions are important.
Clean up the house. It was like, okay, are we gonna go or not? Because I think I'm in labor. He and I ultimately decided that we would go to Chick-fil-A, because a lot of people had told us, if you were going to go into labor, go eat first, because they don't let you eat when you get to the hospital, which I'm so thankful I did eat, because they didn't.
So we got to Chick-fil-A about 9 o'clock. I was driving. It was raining to beat the band. It was pouring that day. And so we're back before COVID, we were eating inside of Chick-fil-A in the dining room. I can tell she's kind of feeling a little worse. I kind of see it in her face. She's not really eating a ton. She was kind of like, hey, I think we need to go. Me being the guy who was going to go get the car, I was like, let's kind of wait. It's raining sideways right now. And she said, no, we need to go now.
I just remember timing my contractions, and they were like 3 or 4 minutes apart, and I was in really good amount of pain. I remember thinking, this hurts worse and worse every time. So I told him we needed to go, and he said, no, we should wait until the rain stops. And I said, no, we shouldn't. We need to go now. So we did. So this was about 10 a.m. I think. We got to the hospital, and I said, I think I'm in labor, but I'm not sure. They checked me in, and I was at a 3. At that point.
Yeah, you're not going home.
You're not going home,
They
yeah.
said, we're going to have this baby today.
Yeah, I remember
And that's
that.
when it kind of got like, okay.
So before that, we had kind of decided we weren't going to like tell our family to come over there now, because we figured it'd be a long process. So I called my mom, because she lived 2 hours away, and I told her, and she said, oh, well, I'm going to go for a walk, and then I'll get ready and come. And we told Jacob's family, who lived right in town. We were expecting it to be kind of an all day, maybe all night thing, you know.
Everything just kind of rolled really quick, and it might have gone by really quick because of how new it was, like novel experience like that.
So after that, the doctor came in, and she basically decided it was time to break my water. So she said, do you want me to go ahead and schedule the anesthesiologist to come in, because he's right next door, and I think your contractions are going to get pretty painful after I break your water. And so I was like, I don't want to miss my window. I would rather have it and not have to go any further.
Also,
I don't remember it hurting at all. Like, I remember leaning over and I remember him talking, but I don't remember it being painful at all. I just remember the contractions were painful. So then they discovered, didn't they discover he was face up?
So yeah, he was facing the wrong way. I can't remember exactly which way.
He was facing up, but he was not breech. He was just face up. So they had me lay on my side with a peanut ball. So they put the peanut ball in between my legs, had me lay on my side to flip him over. And I'd say I was...
You're on your side for a while. It was probably 30 or 40 minutes, and which it was awesome. I almost forgot this part. Just now I remembered. We picked a great day. There were bowl games on. So we had a TV in there, and I was able to watch some football.
I just laid there, took a little nap, ate some ice chips, and I'd say about an hour and a half after that, she came back in and they checked me, and I was at a 10 and ready to push. So my mom had not gotten ready and come as fast as she needed to. Once I kind of told her I was progressing a little faster, she decided to come. She sped there, and Jacob's family got there, and right in time for me to push. Everybody was there.
Well, the nurse she was like, okay, you're gonna need a chair, because she was like, you're gonna pass out, Dad. And I'm like, listen here, lady. I was like, I am not gonna pass out. And she was like, oh, it's the ones who say they're not gonna pass out, they're gonna pass out. I didn't pass out, by the way.
So they put oxygen on me because the heart rate wasn't where it needed to be. I don't think it was like scary levels, but it wasn't where it needed to be. And so they put me on oxygen, and then I got to pushing.
So they set her up, and I'm gonna remember a little more of this. Well, they set her up, and so our doctor, she was like kind of coordinating the whole deal. And she's like, okay, all right, so we're gonna push for a little bit, and then we're gonna breathe for a little bit. We're gonna push for a little bit. And so I'm holding her hand, and she's like, okay, we're going to push for about 5 seconds, okay? And she's like, okay, push. And Annie's just, whack, boom, starts pushing. And then she's like, all right, take a breath. And Annie's just like, whoa. She's like not breathing. There's no breath.
I didn't hear the whole stop
She's holding this push. And I'm like, hey, go, babe, chill. I was like, breathe. You never took a breath once. And that's why it went so quick. It was only like, I don't know how many minutes, not much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pushing.
I don't know either.
Not very long at all.
So after he was born, they put him on the little weigher, weighed his body, and measured his height, and did all the things, and checked his breathing, and suctioned him and stuff. And I remember them putting him on me, and I got to like snuggle him for just a little bit. But then the nurses took him back, and at that point I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening.
And so they kind of watched him for a little bit, listened to the heart. They took kind of immediate vitals. And he cried immediately, just one big loud cry. And then there really wasn't much crying after that. You see in the movies and stuff, there's like a lot of crying. And for people that have babies, it's supposed to be kind of a lot. And he didn't really cry much after that. And so they didn't seem too nervous about it at first. And like Annie just said, handed him to Annie. They started the whole skin-to-skin thing. And then there was a kind of one of the, I think she was just a tech or a NICU nurse, one of the two of the nurses that were kind of checking his immediate vitals. She kind of started talking to the other one and then requested Jett back, listened to him a little more. She said, I don't know what's really going on, but I really don't. She's like, something's kind of amiss. She was like, I don't really like this. Let's take a little longer look at it. And they did, and it was kind of progressing. He really wasn't crying, wasn't making a ton of noise. His levels is like O2 and everything and heart rate were okay, but they were like, let's get him in for a little more testing.
So
that's when
at that point I was kind of like new mom mode. Like I was like, somebody else with more responsibility or more knowledge take this baby away from me, because I don't know what I'm doing. I'd rather somebody else with more knowledge take over and be able to take care of him. I was okay with it. I was like, a few hours, that'll be fine. I'll be able to recover, get up, and then my baby will be here. And so I kind of reacted in a way that a lot of people probably wouldn't have reacted to their baby being taken to the NICU. I guess the medicines and all of the different emotions going through my body didn't really like set in as like sad or like fearful or anything like that. I was like, somebody else take care of him because I don't know what I'm doing with that whole department, and you do.
And we wheeled, and I had them wheel past. So they wheeled him by, and so our families got to kind of look at him from a distance as he was being wheeled in. I was pretty scared at that point. I just told him to kind of pray. I said, we really don't know what's going on, so kind of just, pray for recovery, stuff like that for both, Annie and Jett. It probably would have been harder if if we would have had one baby prior to this, we just held for a long time, and then the second baby, it gets immediately wheeled back. Everything was so novel that I was kind of like, okay, we're just going to go back into this further testing room. The NICU I'd never been to a NICU before, but it was so peaceful and quiet that it really helped. And the NICU nurses, they're the absolute best nurses that I've ever experienced. And I've had the privilege to work with a lot of nurses in the physical therapy field, and they are the NICU nurses that we had are by far the best nurses I've ever had.
So right after that happened, the nurses got me all cleaned up, ready to go, and they put me on the little, not a wheelchair, but like a wheeler. Like I sat on it and went to the NICU to see Jett. I remember rolling in there and looking around, not knowing which one was my baby because I hadn't really gotten to see my baby. I loved being in there because it was so peaceful and it felt so comforting. Having those nurses that were so awesome around us. I told Jacob, I said, I wish everybody got to experience that. Not having their baby go to the NICU, but the care team of full-on attention, fantastic. Allowing you to, helping you with every little step of the first few days. So we got transferred and they ordered me food and I went to the bathroom. All of those afterbirth things. Yes, I ordered a cheeseburger with fries.
It was massive. I was like, there you go.
Of course. So I ate and just kind of chilled for a little bit before they decided to start me on pumping. So we went to the NICU and visited him, and they ultimately said, hey, it's going to be a little bit longer, maybe looking at a few more hours, maybe tomorrow morning, because he was born at 3 in the afternoon, 3:10 in the afternoon. So this was already evening time. Well, we were kind of looking at staying overnight in the NICU. They started to wean him off of oxygen and started to feed him. They had me pumping in the room and giving him anything that I could get, and they told me that it was going to be longer. All I remember from that night was waking up every 2 hours, or not even waking up. We were up all night basically. Right. But going to the NICU every 2 hours. Sometime during that middle of the night, that first night, they actually let me hold him, which was awesome. I wish we would have taken advantage of that time sleeping wise, because we were just so wound up. I think we weren't sleeping at all. The next day we woke up when the sun came up, and we spent all day in the NICU again. They kept weaning him off of oxygen and ultimately got him down to room air, which was another great, awesome moment. Yeah, he was doing great on room air and he was able to breastfeed. We had started breastfeeding that day in the NICU, and that was going really well. And so they discharged him from the NICU to come to our room. So he got to our room that evening, and our families all came over, and we got to hold him and take his pictures and all of those different fun things that you want to do that first day. That night, we discovered that he didn't want to be put down.
Yeah, he did not want to be put down, so we kind of just took turns.
I feel like every baby is that way. I was very caught off guard with how much he wanted to be held instead of put down.
So I took the graveyard shift the first night we had him. It was like from 2 to 4 or 5 in the morning. And so Jetman and I were just watching infomercials just over and over. And I would just sit with him and I would hold him, and I was just like, no, don't. No. And so finally I just had to make laps around the room. I remember at one point in time, it was so bad. I went over to the door and I just got like a big old handful of the foam hand sanitizer, and I just like sniffed it real hard, just like some smelling salts, trying to wake myself up. It burned so bad. It worked temporarily.
That night was rough. We didn't get a whole lot of sleep at all. I remember like halfway through the night, the nurse, one of the NICU nurses came in and she
Tips at
said,
7.
"It's time for his first bath. Do you want to come to the nursery with me?" And we'll do that. And so we went back there with her, and she gave him his first bath. And then she said, "Okay," I remember her turning with the baby. She said, "I have to do some more testing on him, run some blood work.
Put him under a heat lamp.
And put him under a heat lamp to keep him warm. Do y'all want to go back to the room and take a nap?" And I don't even know if I blinked before I turned around. So we literally
back to the room.
We literally ran. We were just sprinting to our room. And we took the most beautiful 20-minute nap of our lives.
It was longer than 20 minutes.
Maybe 40 minutes, I don't know, but it was wonderful. That next day, they checked his blood levels and he was a little jaundiced. So we were a little concerned that he was going to have to be put back in the NICU or something else was going to have to take place. So we just basically were waiting it out to see what his levels would do. I think they took his levels again that afternoon, so by now it's Monday.
So they'd risen a little bit, but it wasn't bad. And Annie, I remember for sure, she was like, "Do not take my baby again."
Yeah, I was like, "No, I'm done with that." So she checked his levels again, and they had risen just a little bit, but she said, "I'm gonna keep you guys here one more night just to make sure."
Which it was late in the afternoon anyway.
Yeah, it was fine.
We didn't really want to just like, okay, here, now go home with your baby for the first time at like 9 o'clock at night.
Really, the next day was the 31st because it was New Year's Eve. And we didn't get to go home until late that day either because they did blood work, they ran all the testing, they discharged Jett, all of the different stuff.
I mean, it took like 4 hours.
It took a long time.
It was a lot of just sitting and waiting.
I think about 4 p.m. on the 31st, we finally got discharged and were able to go home. Going home from the hospital was funny. I'm sure a lot of new parents can relate to this, but we put him in that car seat and probably drove 5 miles an hour all the way home.
Maybe 10.
Maybe 10.
And I remember taking back streets that like through the bowels of the town that I was like, there's not going to be a single car on this. I know this road's going to come out right pretty close where we live. We have to cross like one major street. Just got to go straight across it and like.
Yeah, we were so like
1,000 times.
Get this baby home safely. We didn't want to do anything or go anywhere.
Home free.
Yeah. And now he's 2 years old and how many months?
2.
2 months. 2 years and 2 months.
In 5 days.
Yeah. I just wanted to film our birth story just to have it on record and to have some more details written down or to remember and to look back on. Yeah, now we don't have to write any more about it in the baby book because we have it on video. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Subscribe, like, and comment down below. What should they comment?
Comment, what other stories do you want to hear?
Yeah, we're pretty interesting people.
Do whatever you want to.
So comment down below other story ideas that you have. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you back next week on Thursday at 5 p.m. for another video. Bye.
Deuces.